deficiency in this Arsenal team has to be their coach.
Look at the midfield. Moise Caicedo, someone I feel should have been in that Ballon d'Or list ahead of the likes of Jude Bellingham and the Arsenal player Declan Rice.
If Mikel Arteta does not succeed with Arsenal, he will not get a chance at top level football again.
If there's a team that would go toe to toe with any other team or any of the top 5 teams competing for the Premier League title, it will be Chelsea.
DM that can boss the midfield, that can allow some of the other guys ahead of him to, stick to their positions and then create opportunities for the team going forward. And that's why we are hearing about Baleba. I have talked about Baleba a lot. I think he's that guy that can give United everything that they need.
Patience. Once you have the talent and you have the attitude to work and develop it, Arsenal is one of the best frameworks you can find yourself in.
If by Christmas Arsenal are behind in the title race, Arteta should go before the end of the year.
Hello everyone, it's another exciting time on Sport 101, and if you're a football fan, I'm very certain that you can't wait for the EPL season to start on Saturday, and that's why we seated here to primarily preview extensively the EPL come this particular season. And as always, I'm here with a regular suspect. Sami is here, Kofi is here as well. We're going to delve deep and look at everything going to happen this season in the Premier League, especially your predictions, top 4 predictions, top 5 predictions, your expectations ahead of the season. That's primarily what we're going to focus on this particular episode. So hey, join us live right here on Sport 101. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Sport 101. Sami,
yes.
Kofi,
yep.
You're good?
Yeah.
The APL season starts this Friday, actually, with Liverpool taking on Bournemouth. But I mean, we will be previewing the teams extensively. You were telling us about Liverpool.
Well, obviously, we are talking about the champions of the defending champions, and I think that Liverpool finds itself in a very exciting position. Very exciting one because of the way they've been able to run the club very well in the recent past. If you look at the sort of players they've had to let go, if you look at the players they have allowed to come in, if you look at the signings and the manner in which they have gone about their transfer business, quite impressive, very impressive. But we would want to take a deeper look at the squad and then if there are weaknesses and if there are strengths. Interestingly, when they played Crystal Palace in the Community Shield yesterday, Van Dijk, the captain of Liverpool, has come out with some rather unpleasant remarks about the fact that Liverpool needs a striker. And a lot of people are thinking that, is it a direct shade at the people who run the club from above, because Liverpool have gone ahead to sign Ekitike this summer, but you realize that the players in the dressing room know the deficiencies in the squad. They understand the intricacies of what it takes to go over the final haul. And so I would look at Liverpool. I think Liverpool, if you look at their squad, on paper, I would give them a 75% plus.
Interesting.
Because they have 2 very good goalkeepers. You probably would want to help me with the names. Yes, that one, and then Alisson Becker. At right fullback, a lot of people think that still they need somebody who is a proper right fullback.
That's Joe Gomez.
No, Joe Gomez is not good. He's not good. I mean, and he's constantly injury prone. Probably the guy who was deputizing for Alexander-Arnold last season, the young boy from the academy.
His name is
Curtis
Yes.
No, not Curtis Jones.
No, it's not Curtis Jones. The young
Bradley.
Conor Bradley.
Yeah.
Yes, Conor Bradley probably will be there, because if you look at Frimpong is just the lower version of Alexander-Arnold. He is so good going forward. He is more like an auxiliary right winger, but he still lacks the tenets of what it takes to be a very good defender. So a lot of people feel that that is another area that Liverpool needs to look at. You look at the central defense. Liverpool are lightweight in that department also. You mentioned Joe Gomez, there's Van Dijk, there's Konate. I struggle to find who else. You understand? Kwanzaa has been sold to Leverkusen. You understand? Yeah, he's been sold to Leverkusen. So you look at the centre back of Liverpool. I think that is one area that needs a lot of strengthening because we often forget that Van Dijk, he had a wonderful season last season, but if the images and the occurrences from their game yesterday against Crystal Palace is anything to go by, then Liverpool could be in for one long season. Because you look at Van Dijk, typically after an ACL injury, you don't expect the player to be the same again. But strangely, he's come back. He's had good seasons. But I think that now it's beginning to have a toll on him. And so you look through the Liverpool ranks, the only proper, young, athletic, and constantly fit centre back, even with the constantly fit, there are asterisks. You understand? It's Konate. So who do you pair Konate with? Do you pair him with Van Dijk? I doubt if Van Dijk can play the whole of the 38 games in the Premier League. One, because of his age. Two, with the advent of sports science and all of the things associated with sports science. Sometimes players run into the red. You need to rest them. You need to allow their bodies to regenerate. So I look at the centre-back position. It's one area that I think that Liverpool needs to really augment. You understand? Because if you're looking at their direct competitors, i.e. Arsenal, City, to a large extent, even Chelsea, you look at the bodies in those departments and juxtapose it with that of Liverpool. Liverpool really lacks a lot. Look, 2-3 seasons, Arsenal have had one of the best defenses in the EPL. Look at the bodies in there. Arsenal can count 4-5 quality centre backs at any point in time. And you know, there's that cliche that solid defenses win you the biggest trophies, because you don't lose a goal, you don't lose a game. So quality teams build from quality defenses. So I think that the fact that Liverpool are a bit lightweight in that particular central defense area gives me a lot of shivers in that regard. You look at the left full back, there's Kekes, there's Robertson. Kekes looks to be the preferred choice this season because he's probably a younger version of Alexander Robertson. You understand? So I think he's a solid player. In the midfield, Liverpool are loaded in there. They are loaded in the midfield. They are loaded with the flanks. You understand? I still think that the Japanese player to
Endo
Wataru.
Let's just stick with the Endo. if you take away Endo, you take away Gravenberg. Yeah. They are not really your box to box midfielders. That's why I've always held that notion that Liverpool were allowed to get away with medal last season. They might not be allowed to get away with medal this season, because you look at the fulcrum on which some of the teams that have dominated the EPL have been built on. They have been built on players who are box-to-box midfielders, proper box-to-box midfielders. All the world-class teams have box-to-box midfielders. It's one area that Liverpool needs to pay attention to very well. So I find a problem with the defensive midfield position. I'm not convinced about Gravenberg. I'm not convinced about Wataru. You understand? Wataru. You understand? Whatever. Endo. Let me stick with Endo. You understand? So I'm not still convinced about Endo and the Gravenberg axis. I think that ahead of them, they have a plethora of options. They have Soboslai, they have McAllister, they have Florian Wirtz, there's Curtis Jones. All of those guys are in there. On the flanks, there's Mohamed Salah, there's Cody Gakpo. They have all of these guys on the flank. So in those positions, Liverpool are very much covered. Then the striking department. I know a lot of people might probably not get excited about what I think about the Liverpool forward position. Salah is not the same player he used to be a season ago. If you are counting your hopes on Salah carrying the team on his shoulders this time around, you could be in for a big shock. And then the onus, if you look at the Liverpool situation very well, in the last 4-5 years, no striker has really thrived at Liverpool. No striker. Since Firmino left. Firmino was not even a proper striker in the sense of the word. Since Firmino left, no striker has been able to thrive at Liverpool. Jota, may his soul rest in peace, was not your proper old-fashioned number 9. But you look at Liverpool now, it's always been that extra burden of weight on or responsibility on Mohamed Salah. He's carried them for this long. Now you bring a lot of bodies in that dressing room. Egos will play around. People will start thinking, oh, okay, is this the guy to finally usurp me? Is this the guy who has been bought to replace me in the long term? You understand? I look at all of these permutations and I'm thinking that if Liverpool do not augment their striking department and just decide to go with Ekitike, it's going to be disastrous. Why do I say so? Because the nature of the EPL presupposes that with every game there needs to be a distinct approach. And so you cannot go with the same personnel every single game. And take it from me, this season is going to be tighter than what it is the Liverpool saw last season. Everybody has augmented. Now, I want to compare their striking position and who it is that leads the line and want to juxtapose it with their major rivals. I don't think Ekitike is fit enough to lace the boots of Erling Haaland. No. I do not think that he should be wearing the same boots with Gyökeres. He's not a better player than Gyökeres. I do not even think that he's a better player than Sesko, because I want to throw in Sesko, even though I do not consider Manchester United to be part of the people who are going to be winning the league, the front runners to win the league. So I look at City, I look at Arsenal, I look at Chelsea. Look, Chelsea might not have the wow factor about them when it comes to who it is that leads the line, but in the lap, in Pedro, João Pedro, they have variety. And so that presupposes that they can think outside the box. They can tinker their formations when it comes to who they decide to deploy for a particular mission. That's the one thing that Liverpool lack. And for me, if you do not have that sense of unpredictability about you, you risk the rats of being found out early. And that is why I think the Liverpool need to look at their striking department again. I don't think that it will be quite sufficient enough for Liverpool just to go into the season with just Ekitike leading the lines. I mean, Salah is 33. You do not expect that he gives you the same outputs like he did. Yes, Salah is Salah. He's a class player. He could do that. But you do not bang your hopes on Salah giving you 30 plus goals. So that is one department Liverpool needs to look at. So striking department, the defensive midfield department, the defense, the central defense. That is the proper central defense, and probably the right back position.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kofi has given us his, extensive overview of Liverpool. He's looked at their strengths, their weaknesses. He's pointed them out. I don't know. You were, earlier on, we're looking at Arsenal and Manchester United, and you wanted to look at United's preparedness ahead of the season.
Well, first of all, when you look at this United side on paper, the team looks very good
Sir,
on paper.
yes.
When you look at the players that have come in, the players that are there, when you see the setup, it looks good because these guys are very, very talented players. They are very good players. But again, sometime last season I was talking about the fact that there are several teams in the Premier League that United have better individual players than. But these teams collectively are doing better than Man United. So on paper, yes, United have some very top quality players. The issue now is how the coach manages to make the team gel. That's why if we start from the goalkeeping department, you have a lot of Man United fans complaining about Andre Onana. I don't think Onana is a bad goalkeeper. I think that if you look at the number of shots that find their way to Onana, you would not necessarily blame the goalkeeper in terms of the number of goals he concedes. I think that football is a collective game. So when a goalkeeper has so many shots directed at him, the probability that he concedes more is higher. That doesn't make him a bad goalkeeper. So in that regard, yes, I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. But again, when you look at his overall output, the reason why he was brought into the team, we have not really seen that quality that we were told that he's bringing into the team. You want a ball playing goalkeeper and all of that. I think that the first responsibility of a proper goalkeeper is to be able to use your hands. That's the number one quality of a proper goalkeeper. There were instances last season, quite a number of instances where certain basic errors that goalkeepers are not supposed to commit, we see Onana making some of those errors. For example, you have a shot coming at you. What do? You either parry the ball to the side, either your left or your right, depending on where it is. Well, we saw United concede a lot of rebound goals. And these rebounds were as a result of Onana's mode of saving these shots. So you save your shots, and then these shots go back into play for your opponent to get a chance at a rebound shot. These are some of the things we saw. Indecision. Sometimes we see wayward passes. We see a lot of these things. And I think that these are some of the things that a lot of football fans noticed about Onana's game that have made some of the United fans turn against him. There are instances, his technique of saving area balls, for example. You have a shot coming at you. Sometimes the particular arm that you go with gives you an opportunity to have a longer reach. Onana, a lot of the times, would go with both hands. And when you do that, it gives you a shorter reach. That's what I mean by some basic elements of goalkeeping that a professional like Onana should know how to handle. And so for just ordinary football fans like us being able to pinpoint some of these things, it shows you some of the deficiencies in his game. And so I think that United need to bring in a top quality goalkeeper. I was talking about Emiliano Martinez. Now there's even more exciting news about Donnarumma being in the picture as a result of PSG signing a new goalkeeper and then letting him know that he will no longer be their number one goalkeeper for next season. So it's either he finds a new club or he stays on the bench and he runs out his contract up to the end of next season. And he can't be on the bench and be earning huge, weekly wages because PSG know that he's not going to be their number one goalkeeper, so they want to ship him out. And so that's good news for United. If they can afford his wages, I think that he's going for under 30 million. So United might be looking in that direction. And I think that if United can get that deal done, it would be a massive coup for Man United. That alone gives United an opportunity to be in the top half of the league alone. Getting a goalkeeper like Donnarumma, look, he's big. He has top quality reflexes. He can command his area. He's very good aerially, and so the goalkeeping department is one area that I think that United need to sort out, especially when you're not sure whether Onana is there, you're not sure whether Bayender is there. Tom Heaton, we didn't even see him last season, so United need a commander in that goalkeeping department. In the defensive role, I don't think United will be bringing in any defender. I think United are okay when it comes to their backline. What they just need to do is for the guys to understand the role they are playing properly. I don't think they are bad defenders. I think Delete is a good defender. Maguire has proven that he can play at that level. After everything that he's been through, he's arguably United's best defender at the moment. So United have about 6 to 7 centre backs. There's on the left side of their 3-man defense, you can have Luke Shaw there, you can have Lisandro Martinez, you can have Aiden Heaven there. In that centre position, there's Delete, there's Maguire. On the right side, there's Lenny Euro. You can also have Mazraoui play there as well. So I think United are sorted in that area. And in the wing back position, we've seen Ahmad play there. I don't think it's his best position, but there will be lots of competition in that number 10 role, but he can play there. There's Diogo Dalot also in that role. And on the left side, we've seen, Patrick Dogu do well in preseason. I have not really rated him. I think he still has a lot to prove in this Man United team. There's Leon coming in. He also needs to settle down. There's also Harry Amas, who I think is a very top quality player if given a lot more playing time. So in that area, I think United are okay. It's just a matter of the players in that role understanding the role that they are playing, and that's the reason why I think the fact that United are not going to be in Europe this season is a blessing in disguise, because they will have a lot more time on the training ground to get to understand what the coach wants to implement. Now, if we go into that midfield position, that's why I think United's biggest problem is. For everything that United have done in the transfer window, I've always maintained, in my opinion, that if United do not bring in a proper defensive midfielder, then for all the other signings that United have made, it doesn't make sense to score as many goals and concede equally as many goals.
Kofi has always disagreed with you.
Yes,
Ugarte there, he can do the
and
job. Casemiro there can
yes,
do the job.
these guys are there, but in maybe in any other system they can thrive. But you need to understand the system that the coach is playing. Maybe in a 4-3-3, maybe in a 4-2-3-1. But this is a formation where the coach is playing a 3-4-2-1 formation. So you have just 2 central midfielders. One is a holding midfielder, and then the other one is a central midfielder. So when you look at other teams like maybe Arsenal or City and all these guys, they have 3 midfielders. And that's why, we've talked about this previously, that some of the guys that we herald nowadays, like Kevin De Bruyne, for example, if they were playing maybe 15 years ago, where it was typically a 4-4-2, can they play in a 2-man midfield? It's not the same as playing in a 3-man midfield. So that's the reason why players like Gerrard, players like Scholes, players like Lampard, you would always rate them, because these guys played in a 2-man midfield, where you have your typical number 6 and your number 8. So for the system that Amorim is playing, I think that you need a defensive midfielder that can dictate the tempo of the game. A DM that will start attacks. A DM that is in front of the back four and then can drive the ball, can carry the ball, which frees your number 8. Bruno Fernandes has been forced to drop back to play in that number 8 role because, yes, technically he's very good. But when you watch a player like Casemiro, for all the quality that he possesses, Casemiro is the kind of guy that is always quick to release the ball. It's also a good quality. But for the system that United play, they need a defensive midfielder that is good on the ball, that can carry the ball, that can drive the ball, that can dictate tempo. Somebody that's a tackler. So you bring in a player like that, and I think that United are good to go. When you have a player like Ugarte, I don't think Ugarte is that guy that can handle that pressure of that system that Amorim wants to play. Because, you know, if you watch Bruno Fernandes in that game against Fiorentina, we saw how deep he was playing, always dropping deep to start attacks. That's not what Bruno Fernandes is supposed to do. So you need a player that can do that. Ugarte is not the guy that will dictate tempo. He has his own qualities. Casemiro, I don't think is that guy. Maybe a few years ago he had the legs to do that, but now he's not that guy. Casemiro can give you incisive passes, one-touch football and all of that, but to dictate the tempo of the game, Casemiro is not that guy. Maybe the person that is closest to that has to be Kobbie Mainoo, because of how technically gifted he is, can maneuver his way in small spaces and all of that. But again, Kobbie Mainoo can give you that, but I think that United can still find someone that can give you even better than what Kobbie Mainoo will give you. In as much as Kobbie Mainoo can give you that, I think that Kobbie Mainoo can still give United more in maybe more advanced roles in midfield or going forward, probably in that number 10 role, for example. So United need to bring in that proper DM that can boss the midfield, that can allow some of the other guys ahead of him to, stick to their positions and then create opportunities for the team going forward. And that's why we are hearing about Baleba. I have talked about Baleba a lot. I think he's that guy that can give United everything that they need. He can break transitions, he can tackle, he can run with the ball, he can start attacks, he can dictate tempo of the game. He's young, he's 21, so he has the legs to do all of that. He's that Kante kind of player, but he knows what his role is in the team. And so when you have a player like that, you tend to have a situation where Bruno Fernandes can have a lot more freedom in that midfield role, not for him to drop in front of the back three to start attacks. And so in that area, I think that's one area United need to cover. But going forward, I think United are okay. If you look at that number 10 role, that's one role that United have a lot of quality. They've brought in Mbeumo, they've brought in Mateus Cunha, Mason Mount. I think if he can stay fit this season, we will see the best of Mason Mount in a United shirt this season if he can stay fit. I think the coach likes him. I've been impressed with what I have seen of him in preseason. He can play in that role. Bruno Fernandes himself can play in that role. Ahmad can also play in that number 10 role. Zexi can play there as well. So United are spoiled for options when it comes to those two guys playing behind the main striker. Now they have done very good business in terms of bringing in Benjamin Sesko. He is still young. He's not. We wouldn't say he's world class. He's not really been proven, at that highest level in terms of consistency. But the potential is there. We've seen him come in. I think I like what he's bringing into the team. He comes with a totally different dynamic as to what United have. So he's giving United a different kind of option going forward. I think he gives United a lot of benefit aerially as well. He's very good with his kicking. He's with both feet and all of that. That's something that Rasmus Højlund was not giving United last season. So Zexi can also play in that number 9 role. So I think that United are okay with the options they have up top. The only problem for United, I think, as I said, has to do with that midfield role. There's also Toby Collier in there. But you see, for all the guys I've mentioned, Fernandes, Casemiro, Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo, Collier, these guys in that central midfield role, I don't think United have that guy that can play in that defensive midfield role that will give you all of those options and those dynamics that I mentioned earlier about somebody that can start attacks, somebody that can break attacks, somebody that is a ball carrier, somebody that can, is very good with transition, somebody that is very good defensively, to allow us see the quality of Kobbie Mainoo, the quality of Bruno Fernandes in that United team. So on paper, I think the team looks good. The fact that you're not playing in Europe also benefits the team. There's lots of time on the training ground, lots of time for recovery. But if United can bring in one more signing, it has to do with that defensive midfield role. Because look, the system that the coach wants to play, that role is very important. And United do not have a player of that profile currently in the team that can handle that position. If United get a goalkeeper, great for the team. I think that if United can bring in Baleba and Donnarumma, I think United will play Champions League football next season. Probably fifth position might be assured.
The team I'm looking forward to seeing this season is Chelsea. I think that people are sleeping on Chelsea. I feel that I maybe I'm probably preempting, but the top two, Chelsea might be there.
I think Chelsea will win the league.
And I say so.
Kofi is giving me a side.
Yeah, I know. I say so because of what I've seen Enzo Maresca do with this team, and the team is trying to put together. They do not have household names scattered all around the pitch, but this is a proper team.
Yeah.
I say it's a proper team because I think that they're one of the balanced teams in this going into this particular season. Defensive wise, they're very well balanced. In the midfield, very well balanced. In attack, very well balanced. Let me start from the defense. They have players like Axel Disasi. They have the Nigerian so Adarabayo. They do have Chaloba. Like I said, they are not your typical household names, but when they play together, they get the job done. They are very difficult to break down, especially with the partnership of Chaloba, Badiashile. They give a very solid
Levi Cohen.
They give a very solid partnership. At right back, on any given day, how many players are that good compared to Rhys James? So at right back, they are very well covered. Even at left back in
Right back, there's even Gusto.
Yes,
Malo
they do
Gusto.
have Malo Gusto there as well. Marco Corella at left back, very seasoned campaigner in the Premier League. So you look at their defense, very, very well solid. And I wasn't surprised they were able to win the Club World Cup, albeit it was a preseason, preseason friendly game or whatever you may want to term it. But you look at the performances Chelsea putting through that tournament. Clearly, the man is building a solid team. And it's not the work he's done this preseason or off season. Prior to the end of the season, we saw Chelsea picking up, and they were fourth. They eventually placed fourth, on the league table. So for me, I think I look at Chelsea as a team that is on an upward trajectory, and they've not really had a lot of takeaways from the team. Not so many players have left the team, so the core of this team is still there. You look at the midfield, Moise Caicedo, someone I feel should have been in that Ballon d'Or list ahead of the likes of Jude Bellingham and the Arsenal player Declan Rice. I feel that Moise Caicedo is one of the best defensive midfielders we have in the Premier League, bringing Lavia as well. So they do have a solid defensive midfield, partnership. Albeit if Lavia is able to stay fit, even if he's not able to stay fit, Maresca has been able to put together a defensive midfield that has proven that they could go toe to toe with any other team in the Premier League. Look at the attack as well. There's Cole Palmer, there's Pedro Neto. They've brought in a striker that I feel that is Chelsea's trump card going into this season. João Pedro, he seemed to have slotted in perfectly well, and he's been scoring goals for fun all throughout the preseason. He's been banging in goals. His first game for Chelsea at the Club World Cup, he scored. Since then, he's not looked back. So Chelsea do have
They brought in Estevao as well.
Exactly, they brought in Estevao. I don't think that he'll be a hit this season. He might just gradually work his way into the team. But I look at the Chelsea team, and again, they are not your typical, marquee players that's on top of your head. You can mention their names, but together they are an excellent crop of players put together. That's why I think that, listen, out of this season's Premier League, if there's a team that would go toe to toe with any other team or any of the top 5 teams competing for the Premier League title, it will be Chelsea. Albeit, yes, they do have their frailties. Every team currently in the Premier League. If you made mention of the frailties of Liverpool in defense and in the attack, you've spoken about Manchester United in midfield. Obviously, when we talk about City, we talk about Arsenal, they'll have their frailties. But again, I think that the mark of a very good coach is you know the weaknesses of your team, you know the strengths of your team. What you do best is you minimize the weaknesses and maximize.
Don't Chelsea need another goalkeeper?
I don't think they do need another
The fans
goalkeeper.
are not okay with Robert Sanchez.
They do have Jorgensen in there, and so he could probably come in. He's not been given a lot of time to prove what he can do, but they do have Jorgensen in there. Yes, you may not like Sanchez, but I think that it works for the team. Yes, the fans may not be excited. It works for the team. Fans are not excited with United having Onana. Even City, some of the fans they are not excited about Edison. They say he's been conceding some goals that they think is so cheap. Barcelona, the fans are not excited with Ter Stegen. Even look at how the CV of Ter Stegen. They still went ahead to bring in what is it called, the second goal, but might just deputize. The fans may not be happy, but I think the coach is happy with the team. He understands the team. He's played with this team for God knows how long. He knows the team very well. So for me, I'm looking at the other teams we've probably previewed so far in Liverpool, Manchester United. You drop in Chelsea in the mix, and I think that if there's any team that will go toe to toe for the league title this season, it's Chelsea. I'm looking at Chelsea as one of the top two teams in this season's Premier League. Kofi, I'm sure you probably have your own qualms, and maybe you and Sammy may want to talk about Arsenal. Let's look at the Arsenal team.
Well, Arsenal is a team we've spoken about exclusively, and I learned on this particular show. For me, with the addition of Gokares, I do not necessarily see any weaknesses in Arsenal.
That's a profound statement.
Yes. With the addition of Gokares, I mean,
Arsenal don't have a weakness.
No, I do not see Arsenal having any weakness anyway. No.
Gokares was the missing piece.
I don't see Arsenal having any weekness anyway.
You look at, as I said,
from goalkeeping, goalkeeping to defense to midfield and now to attack, Arsenal has no weakness.
If there will be any weakness at Arsenal, then it's probably Arteta.
So exactly the point. Arsenal is a complete team for you.
Arsenal has the best available materials in the context of the Premier League.
How so?
Player for player, player for player quality. They have an excellent goalkeeper. They have an excellent right back.
And now they've dropped in Mosquera, one of the best young players.
I mean, come on,
La Liga.
Timber, you would hardly find those kind of players around today. Centre back, I don't want to talk about them.
What about their left back position?
Oh, left back is strong.
Really?
There's Skelly. There's
the Italian.
The Italian.
Calafiori.
Exactly.
Injury prone.
But Skelly has shown that, and the history of Arsenal should tell us that together with Manchester United, they are one of the few teams in the context of the EPL that gives you the leverage. If you are a young player wanting to play in the league, they have the time, they have the patience. Once you have the talent and you have the attitude to work and develop it, Arsenal is one of the best frameworks you can find yourself in. So there's Kelly, there's Calafiori. There are options in midfield. There is no better midfield in the EPL than the Arsenal midfield.
Even with the absence of Partey now.
No. Zubimendi is there. Nogard is there. There's still Mikel Merino.
Yeah.
You understand? There's still Mikel Merino. We all forget that Kai Havertz is a midfielder. Kai Havertz is there. Beyond their captain, Odegaard. There's Kai Declan Rice. All of them. Look at the
over the possible look of the Arsenal center.
No, if you look at this Arsenal team and you are not excited, maybe a demon has possessed you. I am pretty sure about that. If you look at this Arsenal team and it doesn't get you excited, something makes that subtle point. The only deficiency in this Arsenal team has to be their coach. He is the biggest deficiency.
Don't you think? Yes, Gokares' first season. He will need time to adjust. If it doesn't work, it might just backfire in the face of Arsenal.
Let me tell you something. If Mikel Arteta does not succeed with Arsenal, he will not get a chance at top level football again. Let me repeat it. If Mikel Arteta does not succeed with this Arsenal team, getting back a shot at top level elite European football, it will be kissing goodbye. Because there are not so many teams in the world that would afford you the chance, the opportunity, and the patience to build a project like what Mikel Arteta and Arsenal retrospectively have given Mikel Arteta. This is his 7th season. We often lament, or we often, probably lament is the wrong diction, we often herald people like Alex Ferguson as geniuses. We talk about Pep Guardiola, we talk about Jose Mourinho, because they have the likelihood of putting in that one player that changes the entire outlook of the team. Look, when Manchester United lost that trophy to City on the bus, Alex Ferguson mentioned on the bus that they were going to go all out for Van Persie. And they were going to give Van Persie the number 20 jersey. And then Van Persie will lead them to the Premier League title. Arsenal is at that moment.
And you think
all that is no. You see, I am beginning to like the attitude of Mikel Arteta. It looks like he's starting to play that card. You understand? He's already come out to say that if you give Gyökeres that space, he's going to terrorize defenders. You understand?
That's the way he is.
Exactly. So you look at Arsenal, you look at the journey they have had to make up until this point. Let nobody deceive you. Gyökeres is the final piece. And if Arsenal do not win major laurels this season, their blood is on the hands of Mikel Arteta.
I mean, is that that complete as Kofi wants us to believe?
Look, even without that final piece, they have been close to the Premier League title about 2 or 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
So, we always talk about the fact that at this time last year, we were expecting that Arsenal would have brought in a player like Gyökeres, knowing that was where they were deficient. But they didn't. And then they relied on Kai Havertz. He got injured, and then it messed up Arsenal's season. Now, there's another opportunity for you, or let's say for Arsenal, to do the same thing over again. They've brought in Norgard, they've brought in Zubimendi, they've brought in Madueke, they've brought in Gyökeres.
Yeah.
And so it tells you that Arsenal are being very direct as to what they need in this season. And so I think that Arsenal have everything.
You agree with
I think Arsenal have everything. In subsequent previous episode, I mentioned that if by Christmas Arsenal are behind in the title race, Arteta should go before the end of the year.
I agree.
If by December Arsenal is about 10 points or 8 points behind whoever is in first position, Arteta should go. Look, the kind of faith that Arsenal have shown in Arteta, he's going into his 7th year, as Kofi said. Even United, that everybody laughs at, as their legend said, they have won trophies within this period. In the past 3 seasons, United have they've won about 2 trophies. They've been in about 5 finals. Even this United with problems. So, irrespective of the fact that, yes, we are seeing some nice football and all of that, there should be something that the Arsenal fans should be able to hold on to and see that, yes, the team is making progress. Arsenal might play all the nice football, but I haven't seen Arsenal in any final. Except, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but apart from them being second in the league, I haven't seen them in the Carabao Cup final. I haven't seen them in the FA Cup final since the one they won when Arteta took over midway through the season. I haven't seen them in the Champions League final. So obviously they are not even competing for titles. Last season they were way off Liverpool. So yes, if they are bringing in a proven goal scorer, remember Gyökeres has Premier League experience.
But that was how many
It doesn't
years
matter.
ago
He knows.
with,
He knows.
was
He
it
knows.
Coventry
You'll
or
make,
so?
you'll make it adaptability
Yes, he
That was
flexible.
years
Yeah.
ago.
When you're applying for a job, do you take some things out of your CV? You don't. He has that experience. Yes, he's lived it. He has championship experience. He's gone to the top flights in Portugal. Yes, it might not be on the same level, but he's coming in with a lot of expectation and a lot of confidence. We saw the kind of goal he scored just over the weekend. So when you have a player like this leading the lines, I think that it does a player like Odegaard a lot of good. When Odegaard has that focal point, he has somebody that when he lifts his head, he knows that I can put the pass here, I can thread a through ball in this direction, because he knows that Gokeres is making a run, or the guy is actually big. He can clip the ball, he can cross the ball, do whatever he wants to do, which is something that he couldn't do last season. The other time we spoke about it. When Odegaard has the ball, now he has to think twice. He has to look at his options, and that takes another 2 or 3 seconds in terms of decision making.
Yeah.
And it slows down the attack because there is no run, there's no focal point, nothing like that. So Arsenal is either playing with Leandro Trossard, who is not your typical striker. You have a Gabriel Jesus who was out injured, and it really, really affected the team. So when you have somebody that is occupying the defensive line of the opponent, you have a number 10 like Martin Odegaard, you have somebody like Declan Rice who knows how to carry the ball, who is good with his deliveries behind a player like that. And you have Saka, and then whether it's Madueke or Trossard or Martinelli flanking them. I think Arsenal are going into the season.
The way you guys are.
Look, Arsenal are going into the season with a lot of quality. Don't forget the fact that even last season, 2 seasons ago, with whatever challenges they had up top, they were still one of the best teams
in the Premier League.
So if they had looked at where they are deficient and they've augmented their side in terms of where they were deficient, I think that we shouldn't be sleeping on Arsenal.
Wow.
As Kofi reiterated, if Arsenal have any weakness or we will see any weakness from the Arsenal side, then it will be Mikel Arteta.
We'll get to talk about the managers pretty shortly, and we'll look at probably the top 5 managers in the Premier. But before we wrap up on the teams that we are looking for to Kofi, City, this will be Pep Guardiola's first time in his career that he will literally have to rebuild a team after leading the team through a certain through a period of success. Yes, when he came to take over City in the 2016-2017, he had to rebuild, but he didn't lead that team. But this is a team he has led for more than 8-9. This will be his 9-10th season, and so we'd have to rebuild. The last element of the dying breed was Kevin De Bruyne. He's gone. He's trying to rebuild. Are you potentially looking at City as title favorites as they've been in the last 4 or 5 years, or this time it's not going to be, they won't be in the shout for the Premier League title?
Well, I think that it's quite a tricky conversation in the sense that, I don't know, last season showed that a lot of the things that have been previously said about Pep Guardiola were probably myths. You understand that? Come on, this is the best manager ever to have graced a football pitch. This is a guy who develops players. This is a guy.
Are you being sarcastic, or
This is the guy.
or yeah, speaking facts?
I am trying to point out some of the theories that have been labeled in favor of Pep Guardiola.
They are not your opinion.
No, those are opinions out there.
Now, Kofi speaking to opinions out there.
No, I mean that's why I began by saying that a lot of the things that were said about Pep Guardiola previously probably are myths.
Okay.
You understand? Probably.
Okay.
Yes, that this is the best manager to have graced the football pitch. It's a manager who develops a lot of young players. It's a manager who develops players generally. And this is a manager who tactically has never been seen before. But a lot of the things that happened last season humbled him. I'm sure Pep Guardiola himself has been humbled, and that he is only mortal. I look at this. This morning I read reports that City are looking to sell Savino. The media won't talk about it because it's Pep Guardiola. He's allowed to get away with murder. He's allowed to do try and error. These are people who tell you that he is the guy who develops talent. So you are looking at Savino at Girona. He comes to City the next season. He's rubbing shoulders with the likes of the Vinicius Juniors, the best wingers in the world. He's almost gone. Now we are hearing Rodri is injured and that he will miss the start
of the
season.
A setback to his injury during the
he might never be the same player again. We are hearing he'll come back in September, late September.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola has said that everything that he wants to play hinges on the best player in the world. That is Rodri. So I'm thinking that, come on, Rodri is injured. That's the guy not start finding excuses for Rodri being injured, and that if his team goes on to underperform. In my eyes, I do not think the City can win the Premier League. I don't think so. I think the powers of Pep Guardiola has waned. Last season showed me that he's not somebody I can trust. He's not somebody I can trust. And all throughout his career, he has not proven that he can rebuild a team. He's always run to where the greener pastures are, the most delicious. So Pep Guardiola has not proven to me that he can rebuild, and I would not put City in my category of teams to win the Premier League, not even when they are being coached by Pep Guardiola.
I think that I agree with Kofi in certain lights. I think that we've said this some time back. He's trying to rebuild this particular Manchester.
No, but the question is that why is he trying to rebuild now? The best managers we have seen, people who dominated and kept doing things and maintaining standards over and over and over again. One of their instincts was to know when to do a rebuild. But why now?
I agree, but I always say that you find yourself in a situation for the first time, and how you react might just not be the way people expect because that is your first time. The best time for City to have rebuilt was last season. You should have seen the cracks in the team. Gundogan, he's 35. You should have obviously seen Kevin De Bruyne is aging with his hamstring and all of that. It would take a toll on the team. So last season, in their pursuit for whatever title, whatever mission they had set for themselves, they should have actually factored in rebuilding in the process. But yes, they didn't do it. And clearly, look at the direction they are going this season. They are trying to use this season as a season where we'll probably put together pieces of players next season, then we'll build upon it, because I think that a lot of people are sleeping on Tijani Reinders. Clearly, in the absence of Rodri, and we saw him in the preseason. I'm not those kind of people that rant and rave about teams or players during preseason, but we've seen his quality being exhibited at AC Milan throughout last season. And he himself in an interview said he could play in any of the three midfield roles. He could play as a 6, he could play as an 8, even could play as a Mazzella or a Tricatesta. So for me, he is that guy, if called upon in the absence of Rodri, can easily slot in and replace Rodri. There's Jeremy Doku. I think we will see the best of Jeremy Doku this season. Phil Foden had a terrible season last season. Happens to players after a brilliant season the year before. I think he's going to come good. One player I'm looking forward to seeing very, very much is Oscar Bob. I was very disappointed in his injury last season, but he's had time to recoup. We know his quality. I want to see how good he's going to be. And this morning, I read from David Ornstein that, I don't know how true is it, Savinho's reason for primarily wanting to leave for Tottenham because he feels that there is so much competition in that role, and he feels preferably Pep would rather play Oscar Bob than starting him again. These are just rumors and all, I don't know how true is it, but from what he's saying, City are not looking at readily selling, but it will not prevent any player from leaving, as has been Manchester City's trump card all throughout the season. But they've also strengthened in the goalkeeping department. Let's not forget they brought in possibly England's number one, James Trafford. He might just be the guy who will be starting ahead of Edison. I do not know. Pep Guardiola, as we know, can do anything at any time that he wants. But if there's one person you don't count out, Sammy, it's Pep Guardiola. Why? This is somebody who walked into the Premier League and broke every single record that there is to break in the Premier League. He broke the treble record, won the Premier League 4 successive seasons. Most points to win the Premier League, consecutive, not taking a defeat on the road. Like, he's proven that he can do it. I don't want to use one terrible season last season. For me, it's one of those things that humbles you as a manager. Like you said, you get to know he's mortal. But I don't want to rule him out, albeit I'm not looking at Manchester City as a team that would go toe-to-toe with the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Liverpool, and like you mentioned, the likes of Arsenal. I think City will be there, but City themselves, I'm sure they know that with the crop of players we have, you look at the fulcrum of their team, they are very, very young. Doku, Sabi, Oscar,
but not to cut you. No, but not to cut you short. But not to cut you short. How do you present this City team and say they are not going to be title contenders?
No,
in my head, I do not make sense out of it.
I say so because
how do you project this City team and say they are not going to be title contenders?
I'm saying so because I'm looking at them. The core of this team, they'll be playing together for the first time. They're trying to, whatever they are trying to do will be for the first time. Like
managers have come into the EPL
Kushano
for the first time and won it.
It's not.
This is the longest serving manager in the context of the Premier League.
Talking about
he is going into his 10th season.
You're talking about the materials available. Every manager can walk into a team with a manager and already set team
but this is a manager who knows the PL more than any PL manager in the PL.
That's what I'm saying. That
this time around,
me personally, the reason why you can count City in the championship, title race, but personally, I don't want to count them in because I'm looking at a team that's literally rebuilding. Kovacic, he will not even have 10 games this season, albeit unless players decide to get injured, and he would have to be robbed in at all costs. Gundogan, all throughout the preseason, how many times have we even seen Gundogan play? So clearly, he's looking at the old horses. I will do away with the old horses. There's talk of he keeping John Stones because of his versatility. He could play in midfield, also play in defense. So literally, he's trying to reinvent this team. That's why I don't want to bank my hopes on them as even in the top 3 conversation. Yes, top 4 maybe, but to say every season going into the season we want to talk about Manchester City and the rest, but this season, I don't think that we want to say.
But if you look at the City team, they have practically all the players in that team have Premier League experience.
Yeah,
almost all of them. If you take out the Johnny Rangers, if you take out Ryan Check.
I didn't even talk about Ryan.
I'm thinking about who else would be in that lineup that does not have
maybe
Premier
James
League.
Trafford. The goalkeeper.
Yes,
but you see,
Trafford.
it's not about having the
these guys have seen it all. So
it's about playing together.
They have played together.
No,
the guys,
you see, though
who's new in the team,
though you've played together,
Omar Bush has had the benefits of playing.
There's always
he's had the benefits of playing.
There's always a snag when you have to
6 months.
There's always a snag. There's always a snag when you have to work at something anew, even though we have worked together, but if we find ourselves,
I don't know why. I don't get why. No, I don't know why you are making excuses for Pep Guardiola. You're making excuses.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just being objective and looking at. I'm probably
you're making excuses,
and I'm probably
then calling it objectivity,
going ahead of time and say that this particular City project, whatever they intend to do, if you take away Gundogan, if you take away Edison, take away Kovacic, do you know the average of this team?
It's not. I don't
It's not
think. I
really
don't think.
matter about
So,
the age.
so
It
yes, no, my
doesn't
point
really
is
matter
they
they
about
are,
the
they
age.
are young, and
It doesn't
if you
really
see the
matter
best
about
of
the
this
average
team,
age.
if you see the best of this team, it'll probably be next season or next 2 seasons. That's why I don't want to count them in. But apparently you guys want to count them in.
No, they should always be there because look, as I said, this is the hallmark of a top quality manager. You don't win the league 4 times on the bounce, and then all of a sudden we are talking about the fact that you are rebuilding, and so we should cut you some slack. I don't get it.
They are
The
not saying-
hallmark
I am
of a
saying,
top
I am saying
manager
that they will not,
is
they will
to
not be in the
identify
conversation.
cracks in your team. It's not just about tactics and then formations and all of that.
Yeah.
That's why it's not just being a coach, it's about being a manager. You know what the cracks are in your team, you know the medical history of your players, you know their ages, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. You make recommendations to the board as to where you want to strengthen in the team.
And you think, objectively,
So-
you think City would be in the title conversation by
They
December?
are supposed to be there. We are not going
Will
to make
they?
any excuses for Pep Guardiola.
Would they?
I don't know if they will be there,
Confused,
but
will they?
they are supposed to be
They are
there. If
supposed
they are
to be
not
there.
there, we will talk about it. We are not going to sit here and already preempt that they are having challenges and they are rebuilding and blah blah blah. And so, just in case they don't make it, then we should understand that they are rebuilding. No. That premise we will not accept. City are a top team in the Premier League. They have won the league back to back to back to back. They've had one bad season. The coach in January was giving money to splash because they were having
200 million.
Yes. January transfer window.
Yeah.
How much did he spend?
Close to 200 million pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've still brought in Ryan Cherky. You brought in Tijani Rangers. You want us to cut you some slack because Kevin De Bruyne has left the team and then Gundogan is aging and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to buy all that. If you're a top manager, you have all these materials available to you. You make use of them. A player like Erling Haaland, we saw him last season. He's the kind of player that thrives on service. If he doesn't get whatever service he's looking for, he's practically useless in the game.
Even in that last season, he had 20 plus league goals just in the Premier League.
Exactly. But again, if he's not getting the kind of service that he needs, and remember, he was even injured for a
Yeah,
while.
exactly, for a while,
So
almost 2 months.
you have players like Ryan Cherky coming in. You still have players like Phil Foden in the squad. You have Bernardo Silva, who has been named captain.
Another old man.
He's there. So I don't understand where the aging and old man and all of that is coming from. First of all, they're professional footballers. If Pep Guardiola feels that this squad is good enough to compete for the title, I don't think they'll be going into the league looking to place fifth or to place fourth. They are going there to win it. He's going there to prove a point. So we won't make excuses for Manchester City that they have an aging team and then blah blah blah, and then Kevin De Bruyne has left the squad, and then Rodri is out injured again and all of that. Arsenal went practically the entire season last season without a striker after they banked their hopes on Kai Havertz. And so I really think that, look, every team is strengthening. Every team is looking to augment their squad. And so Manchester City, I don't think we should be looking at any excuses for City. I was expecting that we'll even talk about their backline. I think that they have a problem with their backline.
Really?
If you look at their backline last season,
what's his name? The Moroccan
Ed Nouri.
Ed Nouri,
Yeah.
who has been very good for them. Now it affords Vardiol
Yeah.
to play in his natural position, the left side of central defense. And if you watch them through our preseason, I think that's how
And
the
then have they
partnership.
brought in the left back?
Left back, yes, in Ed Nouri.
Oh yes, Ed
Yes.
Nouri, yes. He plays in that because Guardiola was playing in that position.
Exactly.
at
Now,
the end
so
of
if
last
you watch
season.
them at preseason, it's
And then
Vardiol
we're talking about
and
the-
Diaz.
the-
It's the
yes,
right back
the right back,
position
exactly.
that's a problem for them. But I think that he wants to trust
Rico
Nunes
Lewis.
and Rico Lewis as
Rico Lewis
as
is a
essential.
good player, yeah.
Yes,
Rico
he wants to.
Lewis,
he wants to
Nunes, I
trust-
don't rate, but
Yeah.
Rico Lewis, yes. Again, when you look at that City backline, you know when we're talking about United, I mentioned about 7 players that can even play in centre back positions.
But are they good?
They are good. They are good players. They are very good players. And I mentioned that they just need to adapt to the system.
If City have a deficiency, where will it be?
I think it will be that midfield.
I don't think it's the attack.
Look, if we're talking about the City backline, I think that City will still need to strengthen. If you talk about Diaz, you talk about Guardiola, it's a long season. Who deputizes for these players? You talk about John Stones, very injury prone, he can play in midfield. Okay, then who?
There's nobody's talking about. There's Nathan Ake, who very, very versatile, can play on the left, on the right. There's Akanji,
you mentioned
Akanji, who can also play on the left, on the right, and in the midfield.
So I think that City, when we talk about the back line, I don't think they have the best of the best back line in the Premier League. In the midfield, I think of all the top 4 teams, if we are talking about that, if we're talking Arsenal, we are talking Liverpool, we are talking City themselves, we are talking Chelsea, I think City's midfield is the weakest of all.
Even with Rodri, Reinders, Cheki.
Yes, Rodri now he's out. If you talk about the Premier League and you talk about the intensity of the Premier League, which is something that affected City last season, with Kevin De Bruyne himself, with Bernardo Silva, these guys do not have the legs. If you are playing in a midfield where you have the likes of Caicedo and Romeo Lavia and Enzo Fernandez, and then you have players like McAllister and Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz and all these guys that are always on the move, and then you have Zubimendi and Declan Rice and all these guys that have all the energy and all the pace and all that cardiovascular endurance to make all those runs. I don't think you'll be talking about Bernardo Silva and then Ike Gundogan. Even the City fans will tell you.
I don't think Pep Guardiola will even dare to use that.
So what they will be overrun in midfield if they have these guys, controlling that midfield for City. And Ryan Cherki, he is not your central midfielder. Maybe Tijani Rangers, yes, he is that one guy that can actually play a good role in that midfield role. But Bernardo Silva in the central midfield role for Man City this season, I think will be a disaster.
They still have Nico Gonzalez.
Yes, he is there. But look, that's what I'm saying. If we juxtapose what City have in that central midfield role and compare it to their closest rivals, I think they have the weakest midfield.
Ekofi, I mean, we need to do this quickly. Which manager are you looking forward to seeing this season? So there's Ancelotti, there's Pep Guardiola, there's Mikel Arteta.
I'm looking forward to seeing Mikel Amorim.
Ruben Amorim.
I'm looking forward to
He's
seeing
that manager you're looking forward to.
Yes, that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking at Amorim. I'm looking at Amorim in his first full proper season. Then I'll make my judgment. Then I'll look at Slot again. I've said the time without number that on this show that Slot is one manager I want to look at properly this season. So it's Amorim for me.
Amorim and then Slot.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I for one made a lot of excuses for Amorim. We walk into a team with a lot of challenges. I think that he needs about 3 or 4 transfer windows to be able to implement what he wants to do. You don't just get that done in 1 transfer window or 2 transfer windows. But at best, we should see an improvement on what we saw last season. We should see that I think the club has backed him properly. United have actually surprised a lot of people with the business that United have done in the transfer window. And so with what he has got and potentially what he can still get before the end of the transfer window, we would need to see an improvement. When I say an improvement, it has to do with all-round play, not just where United end at the end of the season. We need to see that system that he wants to implement, he has to pass the message across, especially because United are not going to be, overrun with lots of fixtures this season. So we need to see whatever extra time they have on the training ground. We need to see the results on the pitch. So Amorim is somebody that I will be looking forward to seeing how well he progresses this Man United team or not. Again, I have to agree with Kofi. Mikel Arteta is one, but I will pay more attention to Ancelotti because honestly, I don't think Arteta will do anything different from what he's done. There are certain managers that can take you to just a certain level. They can't take you beyond that. Arsenal would need a top quality manager if they want to win the league. But for Ancelotti, I think that he had a good season last season. I wouldn't say Liverpool were lucky. they took their chances, but every other team around Liverpool now has sat up, and so Liverpool will not have it the way they did last season, and that's why I would want to see Ancelotti.
Who's going to be your signing of the season? You've looked at the signings Manchester United have made, City have made.
Well, I think
that player, you think he might not win the player of the season, but at the end of the season, oh wow, this guy's signing was worth it.
Well, I'm looking at Gokares.
Really, it's going to be the signing of the season.
Well, I'm looking at Gokares. I'm looking at
Not
Gokares.
Mbeumo, not Kuna.
I'm looking at Gokares and Sesko.
Okay.
You know, I am looking at them because of the traditions that they are likely to follow. You know, Arsenal has always been associated with big strikers, top strikers. You understand? Together with Manchester United, and if you look at the players, I mean, you look at the players. Even though Gokares is the eldest of them, you look at his statistics across Europe last season, what he did in the Portuguese league, what he did in the Champions League. This is somebody who has wowed the audience. Exactly. Now, can he step into the traditions of Arsenal and deliver
Especially
like the Ian Wrights were doing, like the Thierry Henrys were doing, because the Van Persies were doing, you understand? I mean, this is somebody who we all are looking up to.
That's true.
To be the final piece of the jigsaw. So will he step in that position and deliver? I look at Sesko, Manchester United have always had big strikers, you understand? I mean, and in a while, in 10 years, they have not gotten it right in that particular position. You understand? Players have come in, Radmel Falcao, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, wrong end of their career.
Højlund.
You understand? Højlund, I mean, all of them, box them together. Is he going to be the man who leads Manchester United into their new era?
So you think that these two guys,
There are two players I'm looking at. Yeah,
the players that you think at the end of the season you might be looking at. Wow, these guys, their signings were worth it.
It'll be difficult. I'm thinking about two players, but they haven't been signed yet. So
I mean, we are looking at players that, as we speak, are on the caps of the books of their teams.
For Gokares, yes, because of the situation at Arsenal. He looks like that missing piece. So if he comes into that Arsenal team and he gives what everybody is expecting, I think there will be a lot of spotlight on him because of, you know, the issues around his transfer and the fact that that's what Arsenal need. Yes, I think that he's one. Benjamin Sesko, no, I don't think there will be so much expectation because of what exactly it is at Manchester United. So there would not really be so much expectation. Maybe from rival fans, maybe from fanatics, yes, for the sake of banter and all of that. But realistically, I don't think that Benjamin Sesko would be that player that everybody will be looking at what exactly he brings. He might have a good season, yes, but the spotlight will be more on Victor Gokares. For the other teams, the one player that I think that just maybe would outshine the rest of them has to be João Pedro.
Okay, you're like that. Literally, he was the one I'm looking at.
João Pedro, nobody's talking about. I think he's that one player that we might just at the end of the season be speaking about him as one of the best signings of the season.
Like, I agree with you. I think that he has that Premier League experience, and it looks like he's slotted into this Chelsea team seamlessly, and they're able to feed him with the right balls, and he knows how to put the ball at the back of the net. I wouldn't be surprised if João Pedro scores 20 plus league goals for Chelsea.
It won't happen.
Kofi may disagree, but I think that that signing that I think that will be a hit this season is João Pedro and Florian Wirtz. Wirtz will find you anywhere you are. He knows how to play in those small spaces. We saw him in the Community Shield. He knows how to pick those passes. I think that he will become very, very crucial for whatever Liverpool intend to do. So for me, I do have these two players in mind as the season starts. But before we wrap up, obviously, we can wrap up with this. Kofi, your top five.
Top five. Manchester United will be there.
No, give me your not
No,
who will be
not in
there.
any order.
No. Give Kofi.
No, I'm giving you five.
No,
I'm giving
give
you
us
five.
the order.
No.
Top five.
I cannot.
At the end of the season, you will judge you by.
No. I cannot give you any order. I'll give you the order on the
Kofi's
next
chickening
episode.
out.
No, I'll give you the order
Maybe.
on the next episode. Yeah.
The next episode.
The next episode will be before the Premier League begins. I'll give you no. But
Okay, you randomly your top five.
well, I think Manchester United will be there, particularly because they will not be having any European football. If they're able to focus, get the established blueprints working with a sort of quality, depending on what happens before the transfer market. Arsenal will be there.
United, Arsenal,
Chelsea will be there. City will be there. Liverpool will be there. Wow.
No, that's five.
That's five.
Yeah.
That's five.
So,
So for me, five. Yeah.
United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City. These are the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
So give me your
I
top
think
five.
that in recent times, we've been seeing one dark horse somewhere. We saw Nottingham Forest last season. The season before, we saw Aston Villa, Newcastle United, one of those things. But this time around, I think the sleeping giants have been very active in the transfer
Be
window.
bold to predict a
And
proper top
I
five.
will give you the proper top five, but I'm giving you the reason why I think that we will not see
Okay.
any outsider, and that's the reason, because look, all the other teams now have sat up, and I think that we will see them try to reclaim that dominance that we were used to in the past. And if there's any team that would be an outsider from that, it has to be Man United.
Okay.
And I think that will be dependent on if they can get those last two signings done. If United can bring in that midfielder, that defensive midfielder, Carlos Baleba, and they can bring in a top quality goalkeeper, I think United will, that fifth position, I think United can lay claim to that.
So give me your top five.
So I think Chelsea will win the league. I've said it time and time again.
Whoa.
Hey,
I think Chelsea will win the league.
Maybe the two of us are smelling something that nobody.
It won't happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
I.
So Chelsea wins the league.
It won't happen.
If Arsenal had a different manager, maybe a Pep Guardiola,
Yeah.
it's straight up for Arsenal, because I think they have the best squad in my opinion. But I don't think Arsenal is winning the league with
So
Arteta.
Chelsea
wins the league. Arsenal
Who
will take
places
their
second?
second place as usual.
The third position,
Third position, I would go Liverpool.
Liverpool.
And fourth, Manchester City.
Then fifth.
And then fifth, Man United.
So this is my top five, and my top two. It looks like I agree with Sammy. Chelsea wins the league.
You guys are on different
Arsenal
tracks.
places second. Liverpool places third. City places fourth, and Manchester United places
You
fifth.
guys are on different tracks.
I don't know about you.
But you didn't give us your top five.
You-
So
no, he
give us
said-
your top five.
In my top five, Chelsea never wins the league. No.
So guys, this is our top five from ahead of the season. Sammy has Chelsea, Arsenal. I also have Chelsea winning the league, Arsenal placing second. Kofi, sitting on the fence a little bit. He will give you his top five, in the next episode on Sport 101. This has been our comprehensive preview of the Premier League ahead of the start of the Premier League this coming Saturday. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Who do you think is winning the league? Who are the players you're looking forward to seeing? The signings of the season. Your take on the managers that will be, taking us through the season in the Premier League. This has been Sport 101. I did this with the usual suspects, Sammy and Kofi.